intimidating expression. What was said? Robert wanted to back up a step. He wanted to stop now, to call it quits, but he couldn't. Only that I should wait to hear from the kidnapper. He said he'd call and give me a time and place to take the money. That was in the note. Why make a call if there wasn't anything new to add? He wanted to reiterate that if I involved the cops, or anyone else, they'd kill her. Robert gulped, and tried to appear convincing. The voice, it sounded like Asa. You've met him? Yes, and once you do, Robert said, finally able to give the unadulterated truth. You don't forget him. You definitely don't forget his voice. It's rough, sort of gravelly, maybe even damaged. I'm curious. Clint crossed his arms over his chest and sized Robert up with a look. What kind of relationship does an up-and-coming social type like you have with a thug? We're certainly not friends. His confidence ruffled. Robert made a show of straightening his tie, tugging on his cuffs. I'm a well-respected financial advisor. One of the corporations I work for wanted to buy waterfront property from Asa. He was there during the discussion. What was your recommendation on it? That area is rife with development, but the city had no plans to extend public water and roadways onto that property. It would have cost more to develop it than it was worth, so naturally I advised against it. A chill skated down Robert's spine. At the time, he hadn't realized the level of Asa's influence. When he talked the corporation out of the property, convincing them to buy a property he represented instead, he talked himself into more trouble than he could handle. I'll bet Asa wasn't too thrilled with your interference. He's a low-life scum of no importance to me. Except that Asa had been enraged, and he demanded that Robert reimburse him for the money he'd lost on the deal, or else. You think Asa took your fiance to get even with you? Of course not. Frazzled, Robert rearranged a gold pin on his desk, just to hide his loss of composure. He couldn't let Evans know of his own involvement, or everything would crumble around him. That meant there had to be another reason for Asa to take Julie, one of her own making. Julie happened to be with me during that meeting. We were leaving straight from there to a play. I hate to say this, but you must have facts. The lies burned like acid in his throat, but Robert told them anyway. Well, for lack of a better word, she seemed impressed with Asa. Clint turned his back on Robert. He picked up a small photo of Julie from the bookshelf. You think she got involved with him? I don't know. Jesus. Robert just wanted this over with. He didn't want to talk it to death. But I do know that Asa has a lot of connections. If he didn't take her, he knows who did. Robert stared at Clint's back, thankful that those piercing eyes weren't on him. It was definitely him on the phone. With careful precision, Clint replaced the photo. You say she's a reckless flirt, that she got herself in this predicament by playing dangerous games. He didn't look away from Julie's image as he spoke, and there was a raw edge to his tone. Yet you still plan to marry her. Despite the pep talk he'd just given himself, Robert shivered. His smile felt sickly, and the sound of his heartbeat drummed in his ears. Understand, Evans, I love Julie, and love is often blind. Besides, I don't really blame her for how she is. Her father could be overbearing in his efforts to protect her. He always tried to control Julie by controlling her money, gifting it out in small doses as he saw fit. And in the process, he made sure that Robert couldn't skim from the funds. The bastard. Clint turned his head to stare at Robert. I take it she didn't like that. Julie hated it, and sometimes she hated him. I see her behavior as rebellion. Robert raised his gaze cautiously to lock with Clint's. After we're married, she'll settle down. Evans said nothing to that. The silence dragged on until Robert felt stretched taut, until his skin prickled and his nerves twitched. Damn it, he would not cower. This was too important. He stood and rounded the desk. When you find her. And he had no doubts Evans would do just that.